This is a follow-up to my last video. There's a pivot pin here that sometimes gets overlooked and it wears out, and I'm going to show you right where it is and how to replace it. You see that pivot pin? It's about wore in half. So all this should be out here, and that pivot pin runs along that cam. But you can see it's wore out. So that's causing a lot of free slop in my lever and not as much action due to that pin being wore out. And it looks normal just looking at it like this. So when I pry this out, you can see the pin and how wore it is. So what I'm gonna do is replace that. This is what it's supposed to look like. What I'm gonna do, this is the one that I actually had. So I'm gonna drive that other pin out, and then I'm gonna cut this one to the right length. You can actually order these online too, and I'll try to put a link in here where you can find these if you don't have them, but it's a 312, it's a size dowel pin. First thing I'm gonna do is take this cotter pin out and slide this pin out of here, take this lever off. And take this other pin out. All right, now this will just slide out of here. Here's what it looks like. Now that that's out of the way, you can get an even better look at that pivot pin. It's wore half into, just about. All right, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna stick a screwdriver here just to kind of hold this in place, and then I'm gonna take a punch and punch that pin out. All right, so I got my screwdriver wedged in here just to kind of give it a good solid place to hold this, and then I can hit it with my hammer and knock that pin out. So here's something I just learned that I thought was kind of interesting. It just shows you the ingenuitiveness that the old timers had, let's say back in the days when they were working on these old tractors. I'll show you here in just a second what the pin looked like when I pushed it out. So as I was driving out, I noticed that there was half of it was wore on both ends. So I figured that they probably took this pin, flipped it around, and put it back in. And I guess it worked for who knows how much longer. I mean, this is a old tractor. So as I mentioned earlier, I'm gonna take this pin that I have and I'm gonna cut it to the length, the same length as this one. The pin I have is a standard 312 thousandths. And the length of the pin is 882 thousandths. All right, to cut this pin, I'm gonna use my DeWalt DWE 4120. Check out the link below to get your own. I'm using this cutoff wheel right here from Clean Spore. I love this grinding tool. It goes up to 12,000 RPM. You can adjust the safety on it too as well. Very cool. To change this disc, you just put this Allen wrench right there, and then you hold the lock on the other side, and then that's what breaks the spanner nut loose. You don't have to use spanner wrenches. It's very cool. Nothing to it but to do it. This grinder works very good for sharpening lawnmower blades as well. All right, nicely deburred and ready to drive in. All right, I got the new pin in place. As you can see, looks a lot better. I got some new cotter pins to put this back together and then put this back. All right, I got the pins back in place, and I can definitely tell got a lot more action. It's ready to go back on the tractor.